So, all right, guys, let's continue and discuss some more new services and plus the concept about AWS cloud, right? But I think, guys, you understood services is there to manage the thing, right? But if you don't know the concepts of particular thing, it will be very harder to work on the services, right? For example, if you don't know what is netting, what is IP addresses, what is netmask, gateway, or subnet, all the things, so it is somehow very impossible to work in VPC. Okay. Similarly, if you don't know what is storage or what is use of block storage, how to format the partition, something like this. So working on on a service like EBS would be very harder to understand, right? So cloud guys are giving you a platform. Okay. They say everything they provide to us. Okay, and depend upon our use cases, we just go and use those services, sometimes also known as provisioning those services, and we use it. But if you don't know what is our purpose, what is the concepts, how the things connected, how we can integrate the thing, okay, it is very harder to use any of the service in any of the, even though they try to make the thing very simple, that anybody can very easily click and launch the services on the cloud. But even though, if you don't know the concept, it's very hard. And that is the reason, guys, I'm trying my best to explain you every concept from very basics with the right use cases, the way I discussed with cryptography also. So in my last class I explained you the right meaning of asymmetric key and where we normally use public key and the private key. Okay. And and so now we know the concept. Now we can very quickly take the decision that, hey, this is the place where we have to use asymmetric key, and this is the place where we have to use symmetric key. Or maybe these are some place where we have to use both the key together, right? So that's what, guys, I'm trying to focus here in every almost all the services, right? So what is my plan for today? Today, guys, we are going to learn some more new services, very interesting. Okay, one service we are going to discuss about ACM. Okay, it's called certificate manager, and this service actually help you to know the right meaning of SSL and TLS handshake. Yesterday, guys, I explained you high level, but this will actually explain you the actual meaning of SSL or TLS handshaking. And here I will introduce you what is certificate authority. So this is one of the service we are going to discuss today. There's one more service called SSM. Okay, so this service also we are going to discuss today. And there's one more new service recently been announced in AWS. This is called secret manager. So this is one of the service we are going to discuss today. So multiple things, almost all the service is somehow related to security. Okay, but these are three independent service for different purpose. So let me start one by one. So but this is the agenda for today's class. Okay, so let me start one by one, okay, to explain you all these three services. Okay, let me create one detailed architect or architecture of how we normally manage the services or manage the apps. So what I mean by this, right? So let me take one typical example, and this example will help you to understand where we can utilize these services. Okay, so what I'm doing here, okay, let's say we in a company, uh, and one of the team in our company has created a app. Let's say this is the web app. Okay, and you guys know whenever you create a web app, so normally in the web app there's two main components. Okay, one component in the web app is called front end, and this is the place where you put your web pages, your HTML code or JavaScript, something like this. So whenever any client or customer from outside the world want to access your web app, and because this is a web app, the normal way to access the web app using a protocol called HTTP, or now you guys know maybe HTTPS. So client will come to this web app using a protocol called HTTP, or if they want to use secure, they can go for HTTPS. Okay, and this web app, whatever the home page you have in your website, this page will be written to the client. Okay, and maybe in the home page they are looking for asking your login and password, or maybe this is a page where they give you a form to the client and asking some information about the client, whatever the guys app is meant for. Okay, and then client will put those information here. Let's say they're asking the name of the client, let's say they're asking the age of the client. So client feed in this form, and after the client feed, they will return this entire data to this web app. Now it is the decision of this web app, or the decision of this team, or the developer team who create this web app, what they want to do with this data. Okay, for example, my client has put a name, like let's say Vimal. Let's say they put the age, let's say 10. Okay, so is it the it is a duty of this app what they want to do with this data. So they want to print this data, or they want to maybe they want to take some decision here. If the name is Vimal, then we do this thing, or maybe we are asking email address, and if the email is whatever email they are sending, we will send a mail or something like this. Okay, so it's pure depend upon the web app, they what they want to do with this data. Okay, or mostly this is a very common thing your web app is doing. It is your choice in which language you create this web app. You create in PHP, you create in Java, you create in Python. So recently guys, even yesterday, those guys who are with me in my IIEC Rise channel, where I delivering from very basics to advanced training on Python, absolutely free. So yesterday this was a topic where I explain you how to create your own web app using the Python web framework called Flask, or something like this discussion we did yesterday also. Okay, but not always, or not everybody who over here the part of this program. So this is why I'm again explaining this concept, because this topic what we are going to discuss today, SSM, secret manager, or ACM, somehow this service is gonna use in this particular setup. Okay, so this very common thing in the web app. Okay, whatever data they receive, because they think this data they want to use multiple time in the future, so they always want to store the data permanent in one storage. And the best way to store the data permanent in the storage, because these are data or the information, so they normally use database. So now it is their choice. They want to use MySQL, SQLite, Oracle, PostgreSQL, Aurora DB. So that would be their choice. So they store this data in your database. So finally, web app retrieve this data, and behind the scene, web app will go to this particular system or this particular server, and they ask to store this data over there. And this is very common that your web app or website is running in a different computer. Let's say the IP is 100, or database running in the different system, let's say IP 200. Now it is your choice. Do you want to run your database in your laptop, in your data center, or maybe you want to run your database in your EC2 instances, that you have to manage, or you can go for RDS, that everything is managed by AWS. So RDS guys, we already talked about in our classes in very detail. Okay, but the main thing here, that this concept guys you know already, but here main thing that I want to emphasize here is this point. Okay, the one thing that I want to emphasize here is whenever any data come to your web app, okay, a web app behind the scene, let's say this is a PHP code, behind the scene, go and first logging to your database server. And for logging, we have to provide 2 or 3 information to our web app. Okay, or I can say 2 or 3 information I have to provide my developer, and developer write in their code. So in their code they write 2 or 3 things. One, they write what is the URL of database, means that you can think IP address. Second thing, they have to write in the code what is the username of the database. Third thing, they have to write what is the password of the database. Let's say the username of this database is admin. Let's say the password of this database is, let's say, Red Hat. Okay, so so technically what I'm talking about, right, whoever guys created this database, and normally the cloud admin, or maybe normally a database administrator, these are the one who actually launch or provisioning a database for us. And whatever they're provisioning and wherever they're provisioning, they provide these information, and this information we have to provide to our developers. And developer write those information in the code, because if the code of PHP doesn't have this information, so normally in the code there's a function typically known as a DB connect function, right? So these functions are the one who help us to connect our web app, this called front end, to database normally known as backend. So if you don't provide this information to your code, your front application won't able to connect, and without connect, how they store the data or how they read or retrieve the data. So this is a very high level concept. I think almost everybody knows, because somewhere we might discuss already. But the main thing what I want to emphasize here, what I'm going to emphasize here is, if you see here, okay, this is just a one database. Okay, maybe we might have lots of databases. Okay, one database for team one, one database for team two, one database for team three. Okay, and and maybe one of the database for team one only for development purpose perspective, one database for testing perspective, one database for production requirement. Okay, so if you try to create a hierarchy, it is something like this, that you have a global company, MNC company, and you have multiple different units across the region or the countries. Let's say one in India, or let's say one in US, let's say one in other region. Okay, and in India we have a different departments. Okay, and these department maybe have different team working on a different project, team one, team two, and team three. Okay, and every team have their app. And they have the developer who writing the app, or maybe some other guys who constructing the app for their requirement. Okay, but you guys know already, whenever we do something on the app, rather than we put directly on the person system, we provide one setup to developer so that they can test their thing. Then we provide something to test environment. So my other team like QA, or QAT team, they test the thing, and everything is when goes good, then we put all those code or databases data to the person work. Something like that. Okay, but technically what I'm trying to explain here is, if you talk about the bigger organization hierarchy, it is here is so big, is a tree, is so complex. Complex in the terms of is very big in nature. Okay, and if you try to see here, okay, requirement to requirement. Okay, every team, let's say team three here, will require one separate database for development purpose, one separate database for testing purpose, one database for production purpose. And because they are different database, obviously the IP of the database is different, username obviously should be different, and password is so critical thing. Obviously whatever password we have in the production is so critical for us. I don't want to share this same password to my testing guys or my developers. So their password would be obviously different. So technically, and finally, if you try to see here, right, how many IPs we have to manage, or how many usernames we have to manage, or how many password we have to manage, and we have to manage in such a way, in such a way that if somebody, let's say some of the developer of team one, or maybe some of the developer in one of department in AZ, on and the team called team one, and this team is looking for a password for dev database. Okay, and they say, okay, what is the login and password for me, for my database, so I can use in my code, or so the code will go and connect. Okay, so if you see guys, there's lots of information here. We have to manage. Okay, or a lot of data we have to manage, and maybe you can use one word here, because IP is what is IP, right? User is what, like a variable, or it is also known as parameter. So a lot of parameter we have to manage. Okay, but we have to manage in such a way that management would be easy. It would be like something like this, the way this diagram has been designed, or this tree is been designed. Okay, but plus the way they manage is, if somebody looking for to provide me all the information of all the parameter for this team, we can very quickly figure out their information. Okay, so technically what I'm trying to tell you here is, okay, we need a system. Okay, we need a system that is specialized in managing my parameter. Okay, because maybe I can create a database for dev one, or my developer of team 3 of that department of India, of this particular company. Okay, or maybe of this particular organization. And I can hand it over this login and password to this guy. Okay, but because we are the cloud guys, after we hand it over, we also have to track, right? Track for multiple regions. Maybe these guys forgot, or we want to provide same information to other team also, or their team member also. So we also have to track these information. Or rather than we provide this information to this developer, we will do that one thing. We can create some, you can think one kind of database we can create. Okay, and where I put all the information for all the teams. Okay, and rather than we can directly give this information, your IP or your password, okay, to these guys. And normally it's very bad practice what normally we do. If we provide a password, we normally don't memorize the password. What normally we do, we store somewhere in Notepad, or maybe some sticky note on Gmail. So it's not a good practice to maintain the information over there. So what can I do? I can ask all of my team member, don't worry, we will manage all your parameter in one of my centralized database kind of thing, in this kind of order, in this kind of hierarchy. Okay, so wherever the team you are in, whichever the hierarchy you belongs, come to me and ask for your parameter, means your information, and whatever I have, I will hand it over. Obviously you don't have to memorize, right? Because finally these information you have to use somewhere in your code, somewhere in your code. Okay, so rather you memorize, you write somewhere in a sticky note, okay, or some kind of Notepad or Gmail. Okay, just put directly in your code. And put in a code that my IP is this one, my username is this one, my password is this one. Rather than you put your password directly here, rather than you put your username directly here, okay, you can give the reference. Let's say you as a developer team one, you are a developer team belongs to one or team one from India, so you can give the reference. Something like this. So go to this global team, or this organization, go to India. In India, go to department one, go to team 3, and and let's go to test department, and they have their own personal information stored somewhere in some service. So I'm giving a reference. So all the information, whatever they have, IP, user, password, retrieve and provide to my code. So rather than I can directly put my login and password directly in my code, that's called hard coded. Okay, rather than I do so, I can give the reference. So how is helpful? It is very much helpful in one more way. And that's the one thing. It is very common mistake sometimes happen. You are the team, your team, and you're writing the code. Sometimes it is very good bad practice. We have a practice of putting every code in a same system like GitHub, and after writing the code, some maybe guys we might done good git push, means my code will be uploaded to GitHub, and accidentally we forget to remove my password from my code. Okay, and for testing because I have to put the password here, so my password also goes to my GitHub account, and by chance that account was public, so it is my password has been exposed to everyone. Okay, so that is sometimes unintentionally this mistake happen. Okay, or maybe you're working in a team and in a collaborative in a collaboration, right? So one guy know the password, I don't want to that other guy also know the password, but if you're working in a sharing kind of environment, okay, the other team can also see the password. So lot of points here I want to emphasize here. The main point here is I don't want to keep my sensitive information in my code. And this one thing, guys, without putting the information, without putting this information, uh, my code won't work. So my code ko IP username password, but rather than I put my information directly here, that's called hard coded. I can give the reference of this particular database. Okay, so you can think this is a database, but if you talk about AWS has a service, and this service is specialized uh, for this purpose only. So AWS say if you want to maintain or manage your parameters, your information, right? Not a file. If you want to manage the file, you have S3, we have EBS, we have Glacier, we have other services also, NFS also we have. But if you just want to maintain your parameter, your variables and the values in some kind of this kind of architecture or this kind of hierarchy or tree, okay, we have a service, okay, where you can keep all these information. Okay, and name of the service is called SSM parameter. Okay, so SM is the main service and parameter is the sub service. So this service is specialized meant to manage your parameter. So it is like a store, or maybe you can use the word called database. But database is not the right word here, but it's like a store to to manage your parameters. Okay, and this service also, guys, help you to manage your, if you guys know something about config file, so a lot of services, the config files, config file, you can also maintain the config file, because normally if you want to configure something in Nginx server or database server or maybe in web server, so we have to keep on changing our conf file depend upon requirement to requirement. Okay, so we can also store our config file also. And wherever you are running the server, we can tell the server, rather than you access the conf file from here, we have some centralized store, get the config file from there, and accordingly change your setup, something like this. But main thing here is parameter, what I'm talking about. Okay, so so I think you understood the use case. Use case is I have to provide my login and password to my developer so they can write the those things in their code, in the code, and after they write in the code, then only code or front end will able to connect to my backend. Okay, now it is your choice. Either you put your information in your code hard coded, either you do so, or give the reference to the SSM parameter service. So that will be your choice. Okay, but if you give the reference, so it will save you a lot of way. One of the example I show you, if your code by chance exposed or been compromised, nobody can able to see your password or your further credentials. This one benefit. Second benefit is okay, you actually maintain a proper structure. Now we have a centralized system where our cloud admins or cloud engineers or architects, they can see, they can manage the entire structure, and depend upon department to department, team to team, they can provide their respective information to those teams. Okay, and plus somehow in some automation purpose also, we can use okay, some concept is called, we have some server running in a pre-prod environment, and we want to we want to promote these guys to production environment. Okay, but obviously I don't want to keep the same password here and same password here. Okay, so we can write a program, if you are in the dev environment or production environment, use this password, but as soon you else if you're using the production environment, use this password. So just very simple extra code, we can very quickly say here, if you're in the dev environment, use this password, if you're production environment, use this password, because everything is managed centralized. Nobody has to memorize, because this dev is the different team altogether, production is a very different team altogether. Rather than they keep their password in their code or in their desktop or in their Gmail email ID. Okay, so everything is centralized in the terms of my parameters. Okay, so so managing some automation thing, especially in the DevOps world, would be very simple. So there's a lot of benefit, a lot of benefit of managing your parameter in this way. Okay, one small benefit I will explain you. I don't want to keep my information here in my code. Okay, So SSM parameter is service, very simple to use. Let me very quickly show you how to use this. Okay, so so let me show you how to use. So guys, this is one of the topic for today. It's called SSM parameter. After I explain this topic, then I move to this topic, then I move to this topic. Okay, both all the three topics somehow related. Okay, so let me log in. So by chance, anybody who know Kubernetes, so uh, in the Kubernetes we have a component called config map. So this is something like config map, and we have a concept called environment, right? Variables where we store our environment variable in some other location. Okay, sometimes look like secret if you know, but not exactly. In our Kubernetes classes we talk about, we have MySQL database and we store our MySQL login and password in some of our environmental variable. Okay, so this is something like this, not exactly something like this. You can compare with this point if you know Kubernetes. Okay, but yeah, it is not secret. In the Kubernetes we have one more concept called secret. Secret is something like this service. So there's a different service. I will explain you in a minute what is secret manager. Okay, so what I'm doing here, um, uh, let's say, let me start in this way. So guys, whenever you create a databases like RDS, okay, and whatever database you launch, okay, whatever database you launch, let me launch one database. This service we have already discussed. Okay, so let me launch, let's say, MySQL. Okay, and let me go for free tier. So guys, while let's say you are the RDS administrator here, okay, and you plan to create a user, let's say Vimal, okay, and you plan to give some password here. I'm giving Red Hat XYZ password here, Red Hat XYZ password here, okay, and finally I click and launch the instance. But I am a cloud guy. Why I'm launching this RDS database? Obviously, maybe most probably not for me. Okay, maybe it's one of my developer asked to have a MySQL database in the cloud so they can connect their app to this database for testing. Okay, so now what you have to do? Okay, you have to provide username and the password, and when I launch, they also give a URL that's called IP address. Okay, so these three information as a cloud guy you have to provide to uh, to your developer. Okay, so you can do it, we can mail them, but sometimes while providing your while exchanging the information, let's say this is a very critical system or production system, it might expose or it might break. So after you create a setup and provide this information to your respective developer or the teams, so this is not the best way to provide, to call them to WhatsApp or to email that this is your login and password IP. Please go and use this database by your app and log in. So rather we do in this way, we can create this hierarchy and we say, I know, I know you are belong to this department and this team and you are a part of developer. Okay, so I put all your information here in this hierarchy. Okay, so I'm not giving you your login and password and other URL. Go to this particular location, go to this particular hierarchy, you will get your login and password. Okay, that's all. So simple, right? So we don't have to worry about sharing the information to those guys. Okay, or I also recommend, is a good practice, right, for the developer. Okay, what we recommend while writing the code also, don't put the login and password and username over here. Over here, just give the reference of that hierarchy. Okay, so your code automatically fetch from there and after the fetch they can use. Okay, so this is the way normally we have to decouple the thing, means disconnect the thing, right? Means rather than putting the thing everything in the same location, just try to decouple, try to put in different service, and let's that service will, that is specialized in managing those things, so let's they maintain our thing. Okay, so SSM parameter is a service that is specialized in managing the parameter in this kind of global structure or this kind of hierarchy structure, tree structure. So let they manage the things. And this service we have here SSM parameter to see all the great use cases in the market, and that's every industry need that we have very complex architecture in the company. We want somebody who manage our information. And it is only not only for IP address, username, and password. You can put any information. You can put your version, which version you're using. You can put your team manager name. So any information, whatever you want to maintain in your hierarchy, you can maintain there. Okay, so that's what. So right now I'm not launching database. Let me do one thing. So let me open. Okay, so there's one service. Let me start from here directly. So there's one service called SSM. Okay, and this is called simple system manager, SSM. Okay, but here there's a lot of services, sub services. SSM, one of the services I'm looking for parameter, or maybe you can directly search for parameter. Okay, again same name come up because it's a big service, like EC2 is a big service. Inside EC2 we have ASG, EIP, ELB, right? So like this is a big service. Under this there's a lot of small services we have. Okay, so let me click this system manager. Okay, so you landed to this page. Okay, maybe some more service we will discuss in the future. Okay, there's lots of very powerful, very interesting services, very much customized for DevOps kind of environment. Very powerful service SSM is. Okay, so I think it's simple system manager, full form, I believe. Okay, but here I'm looking for a service called parameter. So you can see somewhere where it is. Yeah, parameter store. So in the left, in application management, there's a service called parameter store. Okay, let me click this. Okay, so here they say if you want to store any data, maybe secret, like a password, or maybe your configuration file, right? So anything you want to store here, maybe your password, database string, some configuration data, license code, whatever you have, you can put in this service. I will manage for you. Okay, that's what this is saying. So let me go and create, and let this might be some steps. So I'm creating your document. So 1 minute. This is the AWS. I think. Okay. 1 minute, please. So, so let me start from here. So let me create a parameter. Okay. And guys, here you can give the name of the parameter. Okay. But, or you can see here, they also use the word called path. So maybe I can give the name called database password. Okay. So you can give the name also like this, but it is always good practice to provide a full path. Okay. Path means it is purely based upon how your company and organization is being structured. So maybe I can write /India /department1, something like this. So just go and create a proper path that makes sense in the terms of management. Okay, so that's what I'm giving here. Sorry. So I'm giving the path like slash India, then department one, then team one, something like this. So all the information of team one, we are going to store here. So you can give any name, anything, but this is a good way to provide the detail. So it's very simple, right? So in the future, if team one want to get their information, I ask which department you belongs to. They said department one. Then I ask which uh, country you belongs to. They say India. So I will provide this URL, not URL. I will provide this path, and I'll say this is the location. This is the location. If you see this graph, so this is the location where we are keeping information. So all the information whatever we have in this hierarchy, I will provide to you. or all the parameter I have in this hierarchy, I will provide to you. So something like this. Okay. Obviously, guys, it's always good practice to give that description. Is normally we don't provide any description, but it's good practice because if you have a huge information or huge instances or huge VPCs, so we always put the description why we are creating this, right? Okay. Now there's a two tiers here, standard or advanced. It by chance if you use standard, it is free. Okay. I think for some time maybe, but it's free for some time. Okay. And advanced, it is not free, they will charge, but only difference is, okay, here you can store the value up to 4 KB. Here you can store the value of the parameter up to 8 KB, and some more extra benefit they have. Okay. So there's the difference, but I'm going for a standard. Okay. And now here they're talking about what value you want to store. So guys, this is the data type they're talking about. So you can think this is the variable. Okay. Your entire variable name is in Depama1 team1. It's one variable, or I can say one parameter. Inside this parameter, I'm going to store a data in a string. So my data type is text. Text means string. Okay. So, so what I'm going to store, and just one more thing, I'm not going to store the information of team1, right? In team1, what information you want to store? Okay. So my plan is to store the information of a database URL. So here you can give and obviously a complete variable name. So I said this is my DB URL. So this information of team1 I want to store. Okay, so DB URL is actually a final variable, but this variable is maintained inside this particular hierarchy. Okay, and it would be anything, guys. It's just a variable name. Okay, so name of my database URL is, so after my after my guys, my team launch a database instance. I'm talking about the cloud guys. So after they launch the database, so what are the URL of the database come up, because they know what URL come up, that URL they will post here. So let's say just randomly I'm putting here database.linuxworld.com /3306. It is normal the port number for your database. Okay, but if you see here, guys, maximum length is 4096 because we are using standard tier. Okay, otherwise if you have bigger information to store here, you have to go to advanced. Okay, so this value we have stored, and that's all. That's the only thing you have to do. Okay, only thing you have to do. And let me save this. So finally, in my store, in my store, it is called parameter store. Okay, we have stored one information. Okay, now what we have to do, right? We will tell my team, this team, and say that you need IP address. I'm not giving you directly. I'm giving you this particular URL or this particular location of SSM. So wherever you want to use in your code. Okay, so go there. Right? You don't know the IP address and you don't require to know the IP address. Just give the reference of this parameter, or give the reference of this parameter path. Which path? This path. Give the reference, and whatever value you have in this automatically populated. Okay, and it's also a good thing, guys, maybe in some future IP address change by some region, so my cloud guys will go and update over here, and they will update the IP and port number change, or maybe they can automate somehow. And good thing is, because guys here they also maintain the version, so next time if you edit, they create a one more version. And you guys know the meaning of the version, right? So if you see the history, they have version 1, or maybe in the future by chance this is a database or URL, and we might using some kind of database. After restart, IP might change. So my SSM manager guys here, they come and they say, now this time my now is being changed to some other IP and updated. Okay, so guys, in this case, this everything is automated. See here, my developer add the code. Now in the code, they don't have to update the IP address, because it's very good practice. It is not good practice actually to keep on changing your code. Just create a code in such a way that it is very much dynamic. Because we are referring to the same path, If that path change some IP address and some other information, they will get that new information from this URL. So now it has been updated here. So if you see here, now this new will come up. And now see here, version 2. So they also guys maintain the version. You guys know the use of version. Version will control the version. We can roll back. We can see what we had in the history. Now, initially we had this IP address. Now IP change or something like this. At what time we modify. So entire thing we are managing. And guys, if you're smaller environment, it doesn't looks so much useful. But I'm talking about the way I also started. The bigger organization, they have a lots of information to share with multiple different teams. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. Okay, but how to share, I will explain you. Okay, but so this is the one thing. So let me add one more information here for the same team. Okay, so it is good practice to provide a same kind of path. So I'm going to create a one more parameter. And this parameter, let's say I want to store DB password. Okay, DB password. So let me store again my password in a string. Okay, and let me give my string, let's say my password is Red Hat. So my database guy had created the password, and what a password they store this information over here. Password. Okay, but understand one thing, IP might not be so much critical. By chance somehow my IP has been exposed, it might be okay. Okay, but I don't want my password to be exposed. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you guys here is by default, your parameter service, SSM parameter service, they store everything in a plain text. Plain text. Okay, so by chance, because you guys know the service, right? By chance anybody who have IAM role as sub account and they come to this parameter store, they can see my password. Okay, normally we don't allow anybody can come here because this is service, and you guys know about IAM policies. Okay, we only allow limited guys who can see here, come here. But maybe by chance we don't know, somehow we miss the writing the rule and the policies. This called RBAC. They can come here. So all the sensitive information, it is highly recommend to encrypt. And guys, again here the role of KMS coming play. Okay, so we can ask KMS to encrypt the information. And guys, understand one thing. Here we don't require to go for asymmetric key. Symmetric key is okay for us because this our information, same key will encrypt, same key will decrypt. So this information between us only, right? So there's like not of 1,000 guys gonna use this. Okay, and we don't have to share our symmetric key to somewhere else. So here we don't require to go for asymmetric key. Okay, I just want to encrypt this information. So I can go to KMS and say, KMS, do we have a key that will encrypt my data? Okay, so they say yes, in your current account, this is my current account. Okay, do you want to use a default key that AWS provide, or you want to use your own customer key? So guys, in my last classes, we already created a customer our own symmetric key, so we can go here and access. So these are the key I think in last class we had created. Okay, so from my key, and you guys here, as soon as I use my key, automatic my value being hidden. Okay, so for some sensitive information, okay, we can first of all, nobody can go and see this information, but by chance while exchanging, while reading, while somebody by chance come, they might get some extra IAM or power. So I don't want to take any chance here. Okay, so they can add. So there's 3 different types they support: only one value, or you have multiple value to share, or you want to share sensitive information. So guys, here the role of KMS. If you see guys here, is a very different service, but KMS is so tightly integrated with other services. So KMS integrated with EBS, is integrated with Lambda, it is integrated with other services. We have seen multiple practical of KMS. Okay, here also KMS is useful. Great. So now 2 variable I have created, DB URL and DB pass. And now it's all is purely based upon your management. By chance, both the variable I put in this particular URL. So you'll see in a minute what is the benefit or you will get to manage in this way. Okay, but anybody who by chance click in this URL, they won't able to see it. By chance, there is a way you can click and show it. Understand one thing, guys, behind the scene, when you click, okay, it will look like very simple, just click and data come up. But behind the scene, this click, go to KMS, retrieve your symmetric key, ask the symmetric key to decrypt, and after decrypt only it will be visible. So it's so fast, but it is this kind of operation is happening behind the scene. So it means if you log in from some other account, okay, maybe by chance, by chance, by accidentally somebody has a power to read your parameter store, okay, and they come here, but when they click, but they don't have power on KMS, because KMS is very secure. Obviously, we always look 100 times what power to whom we are giving. So if somebody click here, they won't able to decrypt. So if you fail and they say you don't have a power of KMS to retrieve the key from there. Okay. So somehow this way everything is internally connected. So two information, guys, I have provided here. Let me create one more information here. Okay, and this info, guys, I'm creating for a different team. Okay, we know this team, but this you can put here. Let's say this is the for department 1, and this for team 2, and this is the password of team 2. You can give any variable name. Okay, and again, I'm putting this information in secure way, and let's say their password is Red Hat team 2. This is the password of this team. Okay, so one more information I store here. Now you guys understand what is the benefit to store the information in this way. Okay, so one of the benefit is to to store the information in this way is when any team work come, we'll ask them which team you belongs to. Okay, so let's say team one team come team 1. They say I'm team 1, belong to department 1 and India. So we ask them what parameter you want to retrieve. So they say I want to know just URL, so I just only give this parameter name. So only they get this information. But let's say I want to know all of my parameters. Okay, so maybe rather than I give DB password different, DB URL different, or you might have more. Rather than we do in this way, we can give this entire path till here. So we provide this part till here, or this path till here. Okay, so all the variables or parameter under this path will be automatically accessed by these guys. Okay, so this is the way we actually, this is the reason why we are managing the path in this way. But let's say there might be possibility my department 1 guy say I want to see all the variable, all the values of all of my team. So we can give the path till here. So we can give the path till here. So automatically all the team 1, team 2, and all the parameter values will be accessed by that particular path. So it's your choice how you're managing your hierarchy, and that will purely depend upon you. Okay, so let me guys show you this demo. One way we can show is to writing the code. Writing the code like this, but obviously guys there's no meaning to write a code here because not everybody know of database connectivity code. To make you comfortable, whatever we have done is working properly or not. So technically you guys are somehow comfortable on command line. So I'm going to command line. Command line, and here you guys know SSM, AWS command. So in AWS we have a command called SSM. Okay, and we have, and this command say can you give me a sub command. And you guys know SSM is a big service. Under this they have multiple options. So there's one option called get parameters. Means they're asking you to get the parameters. Okay, and again this command say, they say please tell me the name of the parameter, which parameter you want to get. Okay, so by chance I know the name means the path. So let's say I want to get the value of this one. Okay, and every parameter obviously is a unique. I said this is the value name we have. Can you please provide me the value of this one? So they go there, and you can see here in this variable we have stored the value this one. So this value come up, and they also update this is the latest version value we have. Okay, and this is the text data. So this way we can quickly check By chance I can get, guys, because I have in the command line I have login already with the root account, so I have a power. But obviously nobody can directly get this because you have created a role user with limited power. Okay, and similarly if you want to get the value of db pass, this one, enter. Now because this is normal text data but it is secure, so you can see your data is come in encrypted way. Okay, so nobody can see this data till the time they have their symmetric key. Okay, so if you have your symmetric key in the KMS, you can decrypt. By chance I am a root account here, so I have all the power to get my key. But if I am logging with some other user in AWS and I don't have power to to go to KMS, so I will never able to decrypt this data. So data will be always so much secure. So what I can do, I can tell my team one that I'm creating one account for you. This is called team one user account. And this account we give some power in IAM that you can go to my KMS store or my KMS to only retrieve this key. So you can use that key to decrypt this. Something like this. Okay. So this way we can manage the security and other things. So by chance I am a root account, so I can decrypt this. By chance in this command, we have an option to decrypt. So this option called with decryption. Okay. So this option, guys, behind this and automatically go to KMS, get the key, you decrypt the data and provide your text data. I can able to run because I am the root account. I have the power to go to KMS. But now, guys, you might understand the power of IAM. Okay, just giving the wrong power to some other user in the IAM service, every security will be compromised. Okay, so giving a proper user a proper power in IAM, which service they can use, in which service, what particular component they can use. Okay, so it is so sensitive. That is the reason, guys, if you remember in my IAM class, I explain you a little bit more depth to creating policies with JSON file also. Okay, so having that kind of knowledge, it's called granular knowledge, it help you to create a secure environment. Okay, so guys, this is the one example we have. Okay, but there might possibility. Okay, this team say I want to know all of my values. Okay, so if I write till here, what happened? Let's say. Okay, so nothing happened. Okay, let me run in this way. Nothing come out. They say this is invalid parameter. So by some, guys, names command, or I can say get parameter option only have a capability to retrieve the value of your final parameter. But if you have a requirement, you want to retrieve all the value in this hierarchy. Okay, if you have this kind of requirement, then we have a different keyword for this, and this is called get parameter by path. And the path here is this one. Okay, so I can tell my team one that this is the path you have, and all value you want to retrieve, whatever you have, you can go here and retrieve. And I see here in this part, this is one variable, value come up, this is other variable, value again come up. And by this is decryption, encrypted, we can decrypt this guy. Okay, so this also way we can get the particular value. Okay, so this is one more example we have. Or there might be possibility my department one say I want to retrieve all the value under my department. Okay, so for team one, team two, all the value I want to retrieve. Okay, so again it won't work. Okay, because if you want to retrieve anything inside this team one, team two, team three, that's called recursive. Okay, so we have to provide option called happen recursive to do it. Okay, so inside this, whatever the path you have, everything will come. This also come up, team one also come up, team two also come up, so they can see everything. Obviously, they should require a power of IAM. Okay, so otherwise they won't able to get it, but I can get it because I'm a root account. Okay, so this also you can do here. Okay, but obviously, guys, there is no access meaning to see the data from a command line. Okay, we are seeing here just for testing or how the thing work. Okay, but technically, finally, this information what we are maintaining in the centralized parameter store, it is finally used by your developer in your code. Okay, and there the guys, the use of SDK come in play, software development kit come in play. So let's say you are writing a code in Python language, and Python language say I need this value of DB URL username and password. So we say that you can get this value from this service. So Python say, how can I connect to this service? I'm Python, I'm with different system thing. This is service of AWS. How can we connect? Or Java guys say, how can we connect? Okay, so we'll tell this guy that AWS has provided a software development kit for AWS. There they provide you a way that's called library. Okay, library. Using this library, they provide you some functions or some method. Using this method, you can connect to this service from your code and retrieve the values. Okay, so by chance, if you guys talk about Python, so in the Python, we have a library called Boto3. Okay, so Boto3 guys is a library, is a software for the Python. Using this software library, okay, Python has a capability to maybe guys Python can running in your local laptop. So let's say this is my Windows. So I can run Python here also. And here I can use Boto3 library. Anybody who know Python, so this is the library we can import. It's not fail. And in this library, we have a functionality available. So from my local laptop, I can connect to AWS, EC2, VPC, SSM parameter, and whatever they want to do, you can do it. So my code is running locally, or my code is running in my different server, but information I can fetch from SSM. And by having this information, my code will get IP address, user and password, and based on this information, they will connect to database running in RDS or maybe somewhere else. Okay, so SSM is not only for RDS or something like that. Any information you want to store that you want to use in other way also, other products also you can use. Okay, and guys, this is one of the important topic of my developer track. So I'm not starting this topic today, how to use SDK, software development kit, and how to use Boto3. So I'll take a separate lecture on this, and it's a pure one of the very important topic of AWS developer track, where I explain you how to write a code in Python, and that code has the capability to use any of the service of the AWS cloud from anywhere in the world. You don't have to write your or run your code only in AWS. You can run your code maybe in GCP cloud, maybe on your own laptop, but you can use any of the AWS service from there. Okay, so I'm not taking this topic. For this, you require to know what is Boto3. But I think so almost main concept of parameter store I explained to you. Okay, one small thing I just want to tell you here is if you click here, and there is no as such option of policies. Okay, what I mean by this, so let me go to parameter store. Let me create a new parameter. Okay, and guys, if you see here, we don't have policy available in standard. Okay, but if you go to advanced, we have parameter policy available in advanced. What I mean by this, let me click here. Okay, and let me create a variable again, something like this. For team 3, for example, let's say this is my password. Okay, this is my password. So one sorry, value I want to store. Let's say value would be, let's say, password. Okay, and guys, see here we have parameter policies available. Okay, and we can add the policies. Okay, policy means when my variable expire or something like this, or if expire, please notify me, something like this. Okay, so technically, if let me create, okay, this is advanced tier. So in this tier, you can see one more extra tab come up. It's called policy. It's not there in the standard. Okay, and here I can create a policy for my parameter. So if I click and edit, okay, what can you create? You can create your expense policy, absolute time later. Technically, in the simple term, it is always good practice, guys. If you're keeping some information, always create a parameter, means policies, means for example, if you want to store a password, just specify your password should be at least 8 character in length. Or let's say you can specify this value is there for 20 days. After 20 days, your password expire, or after 20 days we are forcing you to rechange your password. If you don't change, we will notify you with CloudWatch. So a lot of this kind of automation you can do here. I'm not showing you, okay, because again this topic is again not a part of our program. Okay, it's normally come in the security topic. But I just want to update you that this is also one very important topic. But you can do these things also to properly automate the thing. Okay, so this is only available in your advanced services, means advanced tier. Okay, so otherwise almost everything is same between advanced and standard. Okay, so this service is called a system manager. Okay, but in this service, guys, we have some issue. Issue is something like this. Okay, uh, in this service, okay, let's say we have a database password. Okay, and uh, in the database password, let's say I am storing the password at hat. Okay, this part is very critical, storing the database password, because database is the most critical thing. Okay, so SSM parameter service is not forcing you, okay, to store your information in encrypted only. By chance, accidentally, there might be possibility you might store some information in clear text, so anybody can see the information if they have the power of IA. Okay, this is one thing. Okay, second thing is, okay, whenever you guys you store any sensitive information, we need somebody who keep on uh, asking us to rotate your information. Okay, means means if you're using the Reddit password for 10 days, change this. If you don't change, I expire. Here by chance in advance they are notifying you, here for for something parameter expire, so they only uh, give you way how long this value will be available. Okay, that's all, or some extra things. But there's a lot of things, guys, we need, like rotation or some more thing we need here. Okay, and there is nobody here to creating a audit who access, when access, and something like this. Okay, so technically what I'm talking about, if you have a information very secure, I want some extra control, extra management on these feature, because guys understand one thing, it's not about keeping the information, right? Okay, if this information is very sensitive, very critical, I want to control also, to have proper audit also. We can see who access, when access. Okay, we are forcing to change the password. If guys, if you use any banking account, so normally banks has a policy that every 30 days or after this much time you have to change the password, otherwise you won't able to log in. These are known as policies on your parameters. Okay, so for especially for uh, uh, especially for secret information, we need some extra control. Okay, guys, here the role of new service recently been launched by AWS called Secret Manager come in play. So Secret Manager is one more new service. It work like parameter service only, but the only difference is parameter is service that is used normally to store a normal parameter like variables and values, like database URL and username. Okay, but this service is only maintained or here to manage your secret information. And whatever you store here by default in this parameter, you have to choose you don't encrypt or not. But here, whatever you store, everything is encrypted. Okay, here we can give some extra policies set up here. We can audit the things. The auditing is again very important. Okay, otherwise everything is same. So what can normally we do? Normally we do when my developer wants some information. Okay, so DB URL means the IP address. This information or my username information, like username like Vimal, for example. So these two information we can store in our parameter service. This is called SSM parameter. But password service, this is very critical. So we can store this information in a service called secret manager. Okay. So technically we can store this password directly in my code also. We can store password in my SSM parameter also. But I'm talking about it's always good practice, okay, to always look for that service that is specialized in that form. In password, I want some strong strong security. I want password policies. I want to audit, right? So more facilities I want, right? So that's what my requirement is. So we can go for secret manager as service. So secret manager is again one more service. Look pretty much like this service only, but this is the SSM password store, and we have one more service called secret manager. This one, secret manager. Okay, so it help you to rotate, to manage, and throughout the life cycle. Life means the entire thing that what you need for your sensitive thing, they manage for you. Okay, secret manager. So let me show you this demo. So so you want to manage, retrieve data, password, API keys. Okay, so all the things you can manage. And very interesting thing is they have a very tight integration with your RDS. Your RDS or any database, there they have their own login and password. So they have very tightly integrated to those services. So if you create a secret, they ask you which database password you want to store. Okay, so they have so in normally in SSM parameter they don't have that much options. They are very generic. Generic means any kind of information you can store, but here they are very tightly integrated with your other services that require to store their service. Rather than you hard code in the application, you can put your thing in your secret manager. That's what I'm talking about. This service is free for 30 days, but otherwise that much they charge you. Okay, so let me click here. Okay, now here they're talking about you want to store a password for RDS. Okay, you want to store a password for document DB, something like MongoDB, Redshift cluster. So there's a lot of database we have for other databases or any kind of generic information you can put here. Okay, so even though guys, if you click on RDS, okay, here they ask you in the last which RDS database you want to store. So right now in my RDS, I don't have any database, but if you have 10 database, you can select. Okay, so you can select here. So whatever password of this RDS of this database I want to keep here. So they're very tightly integrated. You know, tightly means they know about each other, which database password we are storing. Okay, but if you're generic information, you can click here and store. Even though if you notice here, if you click RDS, they know in the RDS they require username and password to store. So they give this option. But if you click on other, they say now whatever you want to store, you can store. For example, I want to store my passport information. Or let's say this is my passport number. Maybe this might be very critical. I can store here. Okay, and guys, here there is no option to decide you want to encrypt or not. By default, you have to use encryption key because this is secret service. Okay, now it is your choice which encryption key you want to use, either by default by Amazon or your encryption key. So that would be your choice, but everything will be encrypted here. Okay, but you can see the plain text also, your variable and the values. If you want to edit, directly you can edit from here also. Okay, so that will be your choice. But finally, it's so simple to use. Click next. Okay, here also guys, you can see create the hierarchy. So I can say this is my India for department 2, for team 1, and for database password. So you can give again same kind of hierarchy. Logic is same. Okay, and this will come something like IAM something. And here guys, you can plan for rotation. So here you can hard code it. Okay, that I want my password or value of this variable to be rotated. Means I am enforcing my user that they have to change this password. By default, it's disable, but we have options to enable. And we can set the time, for example, let's say 30 days, 90 days, or some custom days. Okay, so after 30 days, okay, we have to force the user, they have to rotate, means they have to change your values. Because it's good practice, right? Because every day you use the same password for some critical thing is not good. Sometime maybe somehow it compromise. Okay, and how to notify here? Then you can use the help of Lambda function. Okay, so we can create Lambda function here. I have some Lambda, but you have to write Lambda function that will connect to your cloud, some other service like email services or SMS services, and they will mail or SMS to your that particular user to notify that your password is going to expire, is going to change, something like this. So those kind of facility is not available in your parameter service, but here we can customize. And because they have some for Lambda function, so in the Lambda function, whatever you want to do, you connect with IoT devices, your alarm start buzzing, your light starts, LED starts, whatever you want to do, further you can do it. Okay, so let me disable this thing, click next. So this is a final summary. And good thing is, guys, uh, finally my password is storing, okay, in my service called security manager. But who going to use this password? My developers, or my, let's say my developer is written the code in Java or Python. Okay, so they write some code, and this code has a capability go to security manager, pull, retrieve or get my password and update here. So typically they also provide a code, sample code. So these are the code they supported. So if you are under Python 3, click here and provide this code to your developers. So code is pretty clear. They're using Bodo 3. We are retrieving the password from this URL in Mumbai region, and there's some Bodo 3 code, and we retrieve it. After retrieve, we can pass the value. Okay, so those who know Python, they might know a little bit, understand a little bit this code, but obviously for this you require SDK knowledge of Python. So in my upcoming class, I will talk about how to use Boto 3. Okay, in my AWS developer track, especially. So that's the code. So you can share this code to client. They have given you pre-created code, and you can actually use that. Okay, so it's a good thing. Otherwise, developer has to create this code from the scratch. And finally, I will create. Okay, so your now this particular variable value stored in a secret manager, and whatever you normally need to for this kind of things, they will provide you. So entire life cycle they have. Okay, and from here you can retrieve the value. You can see the value come up. Why I can retrieve? Because I am logging the root account and I have power to go to my KMS to decrypt. So that is the reason I can see. Otherwise, I can't. Okay, so this is one more service. So as a cloud engineer, this still here your role is. Now further role is if you're developers. So guy who creating the application or your front end, we provide this code if they don't know how to write the code, and they have to use this code in their program. That's all. Okay, but from our side, we are securing and guys, understand one thing: in this code we don't have any password. By chance my code compromise in the shared in GitHub, nobody can see my password, because the password is coming from secret database, and only the secret database will know the password. Nobody can. Okay, so this way actually we plan the security. So this is one more service we have that is called security manager. That's what we have discussed. Okay, so guys, if you talk about the bigger app, okay, we have to lots of things we have to plan, right? A small component we have to plan. We have to keep the password. We have to keep our databases, and which network to use. Hundreds of things we have to plan in terms of performance, in the terms of latency, in the terms of security, right? Then only my application can be useful. If you create a very beautiful application, okay, but it had a lot of security issues, uh, uh, it can be break, right? So we have to think in all the angles. Okay, so guys, this is about one more service we cover. That's called Security Manager. Okay, there's two services we have covered. Now let's come to our ACM. It's very interesting survey. You definitely like this particular demo. Okay, so this survey, guys, will explain you a little bit more about the structure that I covered yesterday. Okay, that's called cryptography. SSL, TLS, handshaking. We will little bit discuss a little bit more advanced. Okay, so what's my plan? So plan is something like this. Okay, we understood, guys, yesterday one of the important use case of asymmetric key. Okay, so guys, very quickly let me explain you the discussion what we had done yesterday, and it looked like whatever we had discussed yesterday. It looked like it is foolproof setup. Nobody can break, but in that setup, guys, we have very big bug. Okay, and by knowing this bug, anybody can break this setup. What I mean by this, so let me guys understand this concept again. So let's say we have a server here. Okay, and let's say the IP of server is let's say the IP of server is is 100, and let's say we have one of the client. Okay, and server one, the client will share their login and password information in very secure way. Guys, again, I want to take one your attention over here. This topic is independent. This two topic whatever discuss is completed. There's no link of this topic. Okay, so I just want to focus on this topic separately because this concept is very important to know. Okay, and a lot of guys from a couple of days keep on asking me to discuss about CRT, CSR, CA certificates, why we use and what is use of this and how it work. Everything gonna cover in very detail. Okay, so what we had discussed yesterday, let me very quickly revise, and then I show you there's one bug or security loophole in the setup whatever we discussed yesterday. So our here, guys, the goal is client has a password, let's say Red Hat, and this password or this data client want to transfer to the server. And yesterday, finally, what we had discussed, how can we transfer? So for this, server can create their private key, and server never shared the private key to anyone in the world, and server has a public. Okay, so so what we do whenever client first connect to server say world is not secure. There are a lot of guys ISP in the companies. Your packet is going via these companies. They can see your data. Okay, so do one thing. Okay, in the first step, client come to server. Server said do one thing. Don't share data with HTTP. You have to share your data with HTTPS. And for HTTPS, you require my public key. So in the second step, I am sharing my public key to you. Okay, to you. So now finally client will have a server public key. Okay. Now, because client has server public key, now this time client will create their own symmetric key. This is called client symmetric key. And intention, guys, I already explained you. Okay, before client will share this data. Okay, client want to send their symmetric key to server. Okay, because both the parties have the same symmetric key. Okay, so they can each other can communicate to each other. They can both can communicate with each other securely. And how they transfer this key? So client use server public key to encrypt this data. Okay, so finally this box box created client symmetric key locked with server public key. And I told you yesterday, if you block anything with server public key, nobody can decrypt in the world. Only the guy who has a private key, they can decrypt. So in the third step, we share this data to the server. And because server is the private key, that server never shared, server will unlock, and finally what server get? They get this one. Means they get client symmetric key. So finally we use public key private key pair, means asymmetric key, to transfer a client session key or shared key or symmetric key, whatever you want to say, they are the same thing. Okay, now after this client can send a data with log with their symmetric key. Server have a same symmetric key to unlock. Server will also send some critical information to same symmetric key. Because by chance nobody in the middle has the client symmetric key, so they will never break your data. So The further conversation, guys, is purely encrypted, but for encryption they are using, and we are using client symmetric. So this diagram, guys, we had discussed yesterday. It look like it's so much foolproof. Okay, okay, to consider that if you have a private key and nobody can break your private key. I also consider that if you lock anything publicly, only way to unlock is with respect to private key. And if you lock any data with symmetric key, same symmetric key can unlock. Okay, so these are the consideration in this setup. And this concern is so much foolproof, nobody can break till date. Otherwise, internet never be safe. Every bank is using internet. It means internet is safe. And why internet safe? Because nobody can break these things. If you lock something, nobody can unlock without the key. If you lock something publicly, nobody can unlock without their private key. So this is foolproof, tested. Now, guys, take this thing in your mind. Okay, and I want to give you 1 minute. Just try to look in this diagram. Again, go to this flow, and just try to help me. If this is the setup going in the world, okay, can we break this setup? What do you think? Take 1 minute or maybe 2 minutes, like 1951 in my laptop. So after 2 minutes, I will ask you, just go to this diagram and try to think you are somewhere here in the middle. Okay, every packet is going via you, and you have to break. Means you want to read what password we are sending, what data server and client is sending. Okay, how you can break this? Just take 2 minutes at 1954 in my laptop time. I will ask you, what do you think? How can you break this? But I can give you the guarantee, guys. We have a break for this setup. Right? This setup can be very easily break. So how? If you can, guys, tell me. Take 2 minutes. So somebody saying with the help of man in the middle, right? That's what I'm asking, right? If anybody in between want to do a attack, that's called man in the middle attack. How they can do? That's what I'm asking, right? How you can do this attack? Okay, so guys, let me give the answer. I think a lot of response I have seen. By chance, Durvesh Palkar, whatever I say is absolutely right. This is the way we can break this system. Okay, break the system. Guys, understand cookies never help you in this way. Okay, So how can we break this setup? So guys, let me explain you how this kind of setup can be break. So again, let's say we have a server, and let's say IP of server is 100, and that's one thing. This is the IP of the server, and this is the client having some IP address. Okay, and just one thing, all the packet from the client go via internet. There is some attacker over here. Okay, hacker over here, I can say. Hacker means some cracker over here. And this is one thing, a request guys always started from the client. Google never come to you. Your Facebook never come to you. You have to go to Facebook and Google. Means client is the one who create the packet. Okay, and in the packet, client always write the server IP address. Let's say they write IP 100 or Facebook IP or Google IP. Okay, and this is the first packet from the client goes to the server. And guys, this packet always go via network. In network, we have a lot of devices, a lot of routers coming play. And they are the one who will forward your packet next to next ISP. And finally, your packet reach to IP 100. And whenever guys packet reach to your server, first thing your server see to whom you come for. So in some packet, it is written that they want to come to the destination called IP 100. It's called destination IP. And server say, yes, you reach to the right location, and I will reply you whatever you come to me. Okay. But you know what hacker do? Okay. Because the packet is going via the router. So in the router, they might do something here. Okay. And they will redact this packet to their laptop. Okay, how? Because they are the attacker, they might have access to this router. Maybe they're working the same company, or maybe some other way also. Sometimes this concept is called root poisoning. They poison the root. So finally, what happened? This packet will, when they reach to this router, or while going to this path, your router will set some route, or this is called root poisoning, and they will send this packet to their laptop or to their particular team of the hackers. Okay, and now what happened when they reach to this system? And this time, guys, they use a concept called IP, IP phishing IP or IP cloning kind of thing. Same laptop, guys, they give the same IP address. What are IP of the server we can give, because you guys know we can give same IP to other computers also. Okay, exactly same IP they provide to this system. And lot of tool available in the market to give the same IP and it will work. So when packet reach to this system, and this system say from whom you come to this system, this packet say I come to IP 100, and this system say, yes, this is my IP address. So I will take this packet. And what is this packet hidden? In this packet, it is written that I want to connect to you. So client technically connected to this laptop. And you know, guys, this laptop has created the exactly same website whatever we have here. Creating the same website is not big deal. It's called website cloning. There are a lot of tool available in the market. One click, we can create a clone of Gmail or Google and Facebook. Okay, so they create exact clone, and because this server can create their own private key. And this is not server, I can say this is a hacker system. So hacker create their own private key, and hacker create their own public key. Okay, and hacker know this is their public key and private key. Okay, and because client finally landed to this system, so this time, guys, hacker will provide their public key. Okay, so finally, client will get a public key of the hacker. Understand, guys? In the public key is not written that is key come from IP 100, real or fake, or server or hacker. Key is a key, and client never know this key come from where. Okay, because it reply come from IP 100, and client only know server with their IP address. There's no other way client know the server, because reply is coming from IP 100, so client feel this key comes from the real server. Okay, and this case again, server client create their symmetric key, they log by this, they reply again, my root poisoning, my packet come here, and hacker system will get the same symmetric key of the client. Okay, and next time server will provide their website with the exact same copy of Facebook or Gmail. Client feel this is the real website come up, so they put their password, but this password they lock with the symmetric key. They send back to this hacker system, and hacker has the same symmetric key. So they unlock and they get the password. They get the password. Okay. So finally, this concept is normally known as phishing attack. So with the help of phishing attack, or with there's called man in the middle attack also here, because somebody in the middle attacking the system. So with the help of phishing attack, hackers can very easily break your data, especially your password. Or maybe they can do some more intelligent step, rather than, because they have a fake website, obviously they don't have a real content of the client. After they retrieve the password, they they further proxy their laptop and connect to the real server. So client feel, finally they connect to real server, so their communication is going on the way it goes. but but by this approach, hacker get your password, and after get the password, they can break your system. Okay. So technically, this is the challenge. Anybody by chance come in the middle, okay, they can fake the IP. Okay, they can fake the IP. Okay, and they can get your data. Okay, so how we can safeguard from this attack or from the phishing attack? Okay, so guys, here if you understand, the biggest challenge is, okay, how client come to know what a public is coming from the real source. So guys, here the challenge is, okay, how client come to know this public key is coming of the hacker public key, or public key is coming from the server public key. So here the challenge, guys, here is, okay, how server can provide their public key to the client. Okay, if client get the server public key, then nobody can break it. Nobody can, even though they root poisoning, but they don't have a their server private key, so nobody can break. So challenge in this setup is, okay, how we can provide a server public key. Okay, and guys, you try to understand the setup, you will find there is no direct way to provide a server public key. One way is server can mail to a client or provide in the WhatsApp or SMS that this is a public key stored in your laptop and always use. Okay, obviously there's not feasible way if you have bigger clients, huge client you have. Okay, so challenge here is, finally, I am a server, I have my public key. How can I provide my public key to the client? Technically, this concept I will explain you. Client has symmetric key that we can provide to the server, so that we can do a further communication encrypted with the help of server public key. But how can we provide server public key to the client? Okay, because if we try to provide and the client asks you in the network, so my packet never needs to a real server. Somebody in the attack buddy means they have done some phishing, and they can provide their public key, and client never know by seeing the public key. That's they're not real. Okay, so here guys, in this setup, we have to take the help of third party company. Okay, a third party company. So you can think in this way. If you talk about, guys, web server, okay, web server is always used by a client using a web browser. Okay, and let's say one of the browser, let's say, is Firefox or Chrome or Safari. So limited browser we have in the world. Okay, so we will take the help of browser also. Okay, what I mean by this, in a minute I will explain you. Okay, so what we do, we take the help of third party company. Okay, and by chance this third party company known as CA is called Certificate Authority. CA. Okay, this is some third party company. We have a lot of company in market like VeriSign or GoDaddy, and a lot of company we have who work as a certificate authority. Okay, what their role is. Okay, these companies say, I will help you as a server to share your public key to the client. And the way I will share your public key to the client, okay, they will genuinely confirm automatically by some way that this is your public key, nobody is doing phishing. If somehow if a hacker try to share their public key, very quickly they come to know, even though they want able to connect also. Because they connect with the help of browser, your browser automatically prompt that the key through which you are connected is wrong. So connection disconnected there. So IMSCA, I will help you. I'll help you to share your public key to the client. How? So let me guys explain you the concept process. The process is something like this. First of all, this CSA, okay, just create one packet or one document. In this document, put your company information, put your company name, your country name, your organization name, your locality, or your company, your system host name, means the DNS name, and put your public key here. Create this document. In this document, the most important thing is your public key. And second most important thing is your host name, means your DNS name. Why it's important in a minute, I will explain you. Okay, so create this document, okay, and send this document to me. Okay, and by chance guys, this document is known as CSR, certificate. It's like a certificate or for signing request. Certificate signing request. Send this document to me. And IMSE, I'm very famous in the market, right? Everybody in the world rely on us, okay, because of our reputation. Okay, so I am the one who do something here, and what we do in this certificate is known as CSR. Okay, because I'm very famous, so so I will sign this certificate. And why this guy say I am very famous? Okay, because all the browser in the world rely on me. For example, there's one browser called Firefox. Firefox rely on me. There's one browser Chrome. Let's say Chrome, let's say GoDaddy is a company. So Chrome rely on me. Okay, why they rely? Because whenever this software come in the market, who use the software? My client. So in this software, okay, I put my identity. This is called CA certificate. CA certificate. So because of my identity, they know me, who are me. So why I'm saying I am very famous. All the browser in the world, right? Any browser in the world who used by a client. Okay, so I put my internet information, my internet uh, certificate here. Especially there's known as fingerprint. Finger means is a unique identity of mine. I put here. How is useful? I will explain you. Okay, so it means let's say this CA is a GoDaddy. So Chrome know about me, or Firefox know about me, and who use this browser? Client. And how, from where the client get this browser? Right, from their OS. So example, right now I'm using OS, like let's say Windows, and let's say Windows by default give me, for example, Firefox or Chrome, for example, or maybe Edge. Okay, so technically, if you talk about a client will always use the OS, and OS is the one they provide the browser. And what browser contain? They contain some information about famous CA. That's called certificate authority. Okay, and they have some CA certificate. What is the use of the certificate? I will explain in a minute. CA certificate. So technically, all the laptops, all the mobile phones already have uh, CA a certificate. So all the CA in the world, they have their information. Okay, so that's what guys the CA is saying. But I am very famous. Everybody know me. So send your server. Let's say you are Facebook. You create your own public key. Put your private key with you only. Don't share this private key to anyone. Also not to me also. Okay, so keep with you. Send a public key to me. Okay, I will sign. And I sign means I look at your company information, that your Facebook, your domain is www.facebook.com. Okay, so I'll check all my older record or other companies also. I found there's no other company with www.facebook.com. Okay, you are the one. I will check your identity. I will confirm and then I'll sign. Okay, and after sign, I will provide this certificate to you and put this certificate in your browser. And guys, when the certificate sign, then this certificate known as CRT, signing Chinese reminder theorem, but this is called certificate signed by CA. And keep this certificate in the browser. Now the interesting role now come up. So finally, what we have? Okay, some famous CA signed my certificate. Okay, and then certificate I keep in my browser. Let's say Facebook is a website, they keep in their server. Okay, now here, now from here, this is the actual setup we had already. Okay, now in this communication, guys, nobody can break our process. Why? Because as soon as my client type www.facebook.com, my request go to Facebook, and Facebook reply me with the certificate. It's called CRT. So they are never reply me publicly of the Facebook. Instead of publicly, they reply me is entire packet or entire certificate. They contain all of my details of the company plus my public key that's client looking for plus the signature of the C. So finally, finally the signature reached to the client, or this packet reached to the client. So client, what they contain, they get entire detail, company name, organization, their details, Facebook public key, and signature of CA. Here they also write that I am a VeriSign or I am a GoDaddy. So what your client browser, for example, Firefox say, Firefox go in their internal database and they try to find, does they know about GoDaddy? They say yes. Do you have any certificate for GoDaddy? They say yes. Okay. They compare this certificate signature with this one. So there's a mechanism, guys, here. It's called fingerprinting, print. It's called hashing. There's some hashing method. I'm not going to that direction, but uh, the way they check, is they say, I already know the signature, and this signature is exactly, like we do in bank, right? When you issue a DD or so check, so bank has your signature, and somebody has this DD has a signature. So this is like a check, and Firefox is a bank, and bank has all the signature of all the CAs or all their accounts. So they match the signature and they find the signature is matched. It means this is the actual certificate signed by the CA that is I know, that is famous CA. It means nobody has done some changes here. So this public key is very much right. I can use this public key. Okay, I use this public key, and further combination I will explain you. After get the public key, we can do the further thing. Okay, but let's say in this process, if hacker tried to break the system, so hacker also create their public key. They can also create their certificate, it's called CSR. They put the public key here, or they can also send the public this certificate called CSR to the CA. They can send, because the CAs are actually these CAs are the company, they're doing their business. So whenever asked to sign, they will actually charge you. So if you go to GoDaddy or if you go to XYZ site, there are a lot of CA available in the market. So if you go to those companies, they normally charge. They charge you yearly basis or monthly basis, or they charge for 1 month. After 1 month, they expire. For example, they will be just for example. So I think there's a name.com. Okay, I think here in SSL, I don't know this is working or not. So yeah, so there's a lot of company. Sorry, it's called Komodo, Rapid, SSL. So these are the some of the companies who provide SSL certificate. SSL certificate, technically known as CRT certificate. Technically, it means these are the CA. You provide your public key with, it's called CSR. They will sign, and for signing, they charge you this much price, 10,000 rupees a year or some dollars per year basis. And this is per year. After a year, this expire again. You have to pay the fees. Right? There's a lot of company in the market who doing this business. So same way, your hacker also create a certificate. They provide they provide the their certificate, and they pay the amount also. But here, guys, why CA and CA try to sign it, but they don't sign it, they fail. And why they fail? Because they say, I'm asking you to provide your company information. Okay, and plus I'm also asking you to provide your DNS name. Okay, and just one thing, guys. And just one thing, DNS is very different server. And because in the DNS, if you Facebook has buy a domain fb.com or facebook.com, same domain, none of the body in the world can use. Okay, so if this guy want to put the domain name called facebook.com because they want to fish that particular fishing that particular site. Okay, so so CSA, this domain I already signed that belong to facebook.com, and I know the company details, locality, the address. You are not that same company, means you are doing to trying to fish that fishing that particular site. So I won't sign this certificate. So none of the famous CA will sign a certificate for this hacker if they're trying to sign a, CSR that belong to a domain name that is already exist. Okay, and that is a reason, guys. That is a reason. Okay, we always recommend all the client in the world, whenever you want to connect to Facebook or Google, anybody in the world, don't use the IP address. Always use the host name or the domain. Even though, guys, if you try to connect Gmail or Facebook site with their IP address, most of the feature might not work. Okay, very quickly, for example, if I try to find NS look up of www.gmail.com, myself this IP come up, but whatever IP before come up, guys, if you try to connect their IP address, okay, to the browser, it won't work. Okay, whatever IP, myself in my case, I have IPv6 set up here, but whatever IP come up, if you try to connect Gmail sites or some most of the site, it won't come up, it won't connect. Okay, because all of your CA sign the certificate by looking at in the certificate with your DNS. It's called normally known as common name. So every certificate has a common name, and mostly the common name is your DNS name. So hacker won't get the same name because we have discussed already in registry Route 53. If I have some domain, same domain name, nobody can buy in the world. So hacker won't get use the same host name or same domain name. So CA won't sign, and because CA won't sign, and without the signing certificate, my browser detect. So if client is sending the packet and hacker do root poisoning, my request come up here, and they provide their certificate to the client. Client never use public key till the time they verify certificate. So they see the certificate and see the certificate is not signed by none of the famous CA that I know. Signature not match. Even though there's way, guys, you can create your own CA also. Server can create your own CA. They can sign their own certificate. This called self-signed certificate. But this CA is not famous. So browser very quickly detect that I don't know about this CA. And sometimes in the browser you see some kind of error come up when you access inside with HTTPS. They say, I don't know who is this. There might be some phishing attack. Do you want to proceed? That will be your risk. So that certificate actually is signed by somebody else, and they were not signed by some of the famous that your browser know. Okay, so technically, if you try to see this entire setup, okay, this is called PKI, public key infrastructure, where we are taking the help of CA who will sign the certificate. Okay, this is called PKI, public key infrastructure, where we taking the help of CA. Okay, and when CA signed the certificate, technically is known as CRT certificate, but normally CRT name looks a little bit complex. So nowadays we normally use the word called SSL certificate. Okay, and this will help us to foolproof our security, because challenge is we have to provide our public key to our client. After the client will get a public key, nobody can able to break it. So guys, if you go to your browser, I'm not opening my browser, but if you go to browser setting, okay, and if you search for certificate in the setting, I'm not opening because I have a lot of cookies also here. So if you go to security, you can get all the certificate of your CAs. Okay, so all the famous CA in the market, your browser have their Certificate means in the simple term, you can think they have the signature. Okay, or anybody, any company, their certificate signed by their CA, your browser no. Or in this case, guys, they will never give the error. In this case, in this case, normally get this symbol. See in the top, you can this symbol. Or if I go to Facebook, what do you see? This log. This log means this log means this log means your browser is telling you this log that I go to Facebook, they provide me their certificate. This is called CRT or SSL certificate. In this certificate, Facebook has their own Facebook public key that I have to use to do encryption. I am a client to the Facebook, but before I get my public key of the Facebook, okay, I will go inside the certificate and I check the signature. And this certificate is signed by some CA, some company, okay, and that company's signature I already have in my browser in some of my settings. I compared both the signature. It finds same. It means whatever certificate Facebook send me is signed by real CA. Or because it's signed by real CA, I verified. It means the public key that is sent in this certificate is reliable. Nobody is doing phishing because nobody can use the same domain name and signed by their real CA. So I can use the public key. And after this, whatever guys process you have discussed as called TLS SSL handshaking will go on. Okay, that easy reason, guys. If you click on this button, you will see connection secure, and you can see a certificate is valid. Okay, and if you click here, now it is very clearly mentioned here. Okay, this certificate issued to this domain, guys. We never issue the certificate to pub IP address. The certificate issued to facebook.com. And who issue? There's some CA called DigiCert. So DigiCert is one of the CA who issue, and they normally issue guys with some time range of 1 year or 2 year, depend. Okay, and if you see the detail of the certificate, okay, in certificate I told you who signed the certificate is called issuer. So there's one company called DigiCert, is one of the CA, very famous CA, who signed the certificate of Facebook. Valid from, valid to, subject, content, all the thing. I told you guys, when your company has server, you want to send a certificate to the CA, you have to provide your country name, your state, your locality, your organization, your DNS name. That is very important. This is called also known as common name. And plus, in the certificate, what they provide, Facebook provide their public and some more other information. Okay, so these information they put in this box. This is called CSR. We send to CA, which CA they send to the CA. They check everything. They sign. Okay, and this because they sign, that is the reason this name come up here. And that's all. Okay, and so browser guys use this certificate to retrieve the public. And this session, guys, our browser create a session key that was called symmetric and do all the transactions that I explained to you. So this guys and detailed process is going on. Is going on. So guys, can you hold for a second, please? So this is guys a complete process of CA. So that's all guys. If you see any website, you can see the CA. But if you see some of the website, okay, where this lock is giving error, it means your browser is find out whatever certificate come from this website. Okay, it's signed, but the CA who signed, my browser don't. Either the CA was not so much famous, or somebody has done create their own CA and they signed their own certificate. This is called self-signed certificate. Okay, so that time your browser will normally first time when you connect, they give you error, a warning, and they say now it is your risk. You want to go ahead, you can go. Otherwise, you can skip this site. Okay, so that's the point how it works. Okay, now why I explain this concept in detail, right? Because because the final summary is if you use any of the CA, okay, first of all, you have to pay the amount. like GoDaddy and something like that for your SSL certificate. Okay. Plus, you also have to create your own public key. You have to create your own CSR, send your certificate, they sign, they provide a CRT, means CSL certificate, and they sign for 1 year. After 1 year, your certificate expire. After certificate expire, all the browsers starts showing the error. Fail, fail, fail. The certificate is failed. Okay, so it's not good for company reputation to have this kind of red, screen here in the top. So again, you go to see, again pay, they again renew, and you start using the new certificate. So, so technically, you have to pay every year. Management is very harder. You have to create your own certificate, provisioning your own certificate is very much tedious task sometimes. Especially the renewal task is very tedious. Okay, and that is the reason, guys. Amazon recently come up with a new service called ACM. Okay, what they say now, everything we will manage for you. Okay, so anything related to certificate, if you want to create your own certificate, it's called CSR, I will create for you. Okay, if you want to sign this certificate, create a CRT or SL certificate, I will sign for you, because I am the Amazon now. I'm a famous company. I am also now work as a CA, real certificate authority. So I will sign for you. I will, let's say I've signed for 1 year, and after 1 year certificate expire, I will again resign for you. You don't have to worry about. So entire management of a certificate, or you need to see everything, I will do for you. And the most interesting thing is, entire process is free. You don't have to pay anything to the Amazon. And that is service called Amazon Certificate Manager. Okay, entire process is absolutely free for us. So creating a certificate is called provisioning, managing, signing. Everything can be done by one service called ACM. Okay, so that's what, guys, the use of ACM. Let me show you this demo, even though working in this service is so simple. Okay, so if I search for ACM, is certificate manager. It manage, launch new, and deploy, sign, everything they do for you. Okay, so I already have one certificate for one domain, so that's not important. So let me request for a new certificate. Okay, and here they give you option called import certificate. So I say they are going to manage. So if your company has already your certificate that's by signed by some third party CA, you can import and they will manage for you. Okay, but if you want to create everything from the scratch, okay, you can click on create a request. 1 minute. Create request. Click. Now here they're asking you, do you already have a certificate signed? You can import here, but I want to create a new. So let me create a public certificate. Public means publicly anybody can use. So public certificate tested by browser. That's what I'm talking about. And guys, not browser, OS also have. Same concept we always also use with software also. So sometimes you buy a software, you double click in the Windows, and Windows prompt you when they install software. They say this software is unknown, this software is known by this company or by Oracle. Do you want to install or not? So why Windows can prompt you? Because your Windows OS or Linux OS already has all the certificate signed by these companies. I mean all the CA certificate they have. Okay, so normally public certificate means normally the websites and the OS they use this. So that's what I want to create here. Okay, so this one. So before, guys, I'll go and creating certificate is so simple, no big deal. No big deal. But here you should know, understand what actually we are going on, right? So my plan is something like this, and I guess I need 15-20 more minutes. It's a very powerful demo I would like to show you here. So my demo is something like this. I'm going to launch two web servers in the EC2 instances. Okay, how to launch? You guys know, pretty straightforward. But guys, very very interesting demo. You will definitely like this. Okay, so in EC2 instance, I have a AMI. Okay, so AMI we already created. So I'm going to use my AMI, this one, and this by this, I'm going to launch two instances. Why? In a minute, I will explain you. Okay, two instances. Let's say this web server for ACM. Let me allow all. You guys know about this service. Okay, and launch. So two instances I'm launching. This has a web server. Okay, and because why launch two? Because my plan is to create a load balancer. So I'm going to use ELB, and I create a load balancer here. And you guys know when you create ELB, ELB provide you IP address, but you guys know they never provide you IP address. They normally provide you the DNS name. So any client come to this DNS, okay, name, behind the scene, my load balancer will balance the load. Either they send here and they send here this part, But because this is your web server, okay, so my load balancer behind the scene connect with the protocol called HTTP and HTTP. And because obviously the client want to connect to the finally web server, so client also come via HTTP. Okay, but if you see guys here, everything is unsecure. Okay, anybody right can get your data. Okay, but at least one thing, this part is secure because instances load balancer is inside the AWS data center, inside my VPC, and you guys know nobody can enter in your VPC, even physically also, that we can rely on AWS data center. Okay, so if anybody try to break this data, we can rely on AWS, that nobody can go at this network connection and can see your data. So this part somehow is very reliable, but client is there on the internet. Client is there on the internet, and my ELB has a public IP or public DNS. So client will go via HTTP. Here anybody can break your data. So communication between the client and the ELB I want encrypted. It's called HTTPS I want. Okay. So understand one thing, you guys know already, when a client want to connect, they always come to ELB. For the client, ELB, let's say ELB IP is let's say 100. So ELB work as a server. And for the client, ELB work as a server. Okay, so ELB is the one that require a certificate, CRT, or I can say CRT or maybe SS certificate. Okay, so while configuring the ELB, okay, we have to tell ELB whenever any client connect to you, okay, they feel you are a server. You until you proxy, there's a different point, but they feel you are a server. So when client connect to you, you have to provide your certificate. Then client will get your ELB public key, and they will do the same thing. But the certificate you provide is CRT, is mean your certificate is signed by somebody. Okay, and who will sign? C. So in our case, here would be ACM service. So this guy will sign for you. Is ACM service. Okay, this is one thing. So I'll tell my client, I'll tell my ELB that I'm creating your ELB. Okay, and till that guys, if you remember in ELB, when you configure a load balancer, you always give a port number. Let's say we give the port number 80. Okay, this is called front end port or the load balancer port, and it is also known as listener. So till there guys, we have given a listener of port number 80 of HTTP. Okay, but now today what I'm going to do here, if I use 80, normally they work on HTTP port. Okay, today I am going to change the listener and I'm going to change to HTTPS. Means ELB you only listen on HTTPS, and guys typically HTTPS work on port number 443. Right, that's what I'm going to do. And when you ask ELB to work on this particular port number, or I asked my ELB to work on HTTPS. So ELB first thing they ask you, if you want me to work on HTTPS means on secure, I need a certificate. So you have to provide me a signed certificate by some CA. Okay, so either you go to GoDaddy or somewhere else, you create your own certificate, sign, provide here, or I can go to ACM. Okay, create a certificate and provide to this guy. Okay, so let me show you very quickly. You guys know how to create a ELB. So this is my load balancer. Let me create a new load balancer. I'm going for maybe application load balancer, maybe, or maybe you can go for older also. Oh, and nowadays actually they launch new one also, gateway. Let me go for older one. You can use anything. And guys, here this is I'm talking about. So let's say this is my ELB for, let's say, just ACM. Okay, and I want this will, I don't want this load balancer can connect to outside world with 80 port. Okay, or HTTP. I want they will connect via HTTPS. That's what I want. And guys, the automatic 443 port come up. So technically what I'm going to do, my front end port number for load balancer is 443 HTTPS, and behind the scene they will further communicate with the same port number because this network is secure. So we can go for this. Otherwise you can also make this also HTTPS. If you make this HTTPS, then you have to manage some extra certificate also in your instances that you have to manage, because this is your server, your Apache server that you have to manage. So I'm just going for HTTP only. So my load balancer port is 443, or my backend is normally HTTP. Okay, click next. This is a security group, you guys know. Okay, and now guys, this new option come up. So till in our last class, you never see this option, and here they are talking about your load balancer need a certificate. Okay, again, initially we are managing certificate in IAM, right? Now it needs new service come up. Now we manage certificate in ACM. But if you have your certificate in IAM service, you can provide here. Okay, but right now I would like to provide a certificate from ACM service. Okay, so this they're talking about you provide certificate from here. By chance, in my case, I had one certificate already, this one. Okay, so they show me you want to use this certificate, but I don't want to use this one. I want to create a new right now. So that I can show you the demo. Okay, so guys, finally my plan is I want anybody in the world can connect to my load balancer. They will connect via HTTPS. And for this, to my load balancer, I have to provide a certificate signed by some CA. Most probably, in my case, I'm going to use ACM service. Okay, that's what I'm going to use. So technically, my load balancer is not yet configured. So let me cancel. I will again come back to this screen to configure my load balancer. Okay. One more thing I want to tell you here is, okay, whenever you create a load balancer, they create a DNS name. Okay, and every time guys your DNS name change, and you don't have a control in this DNS, and that is the reason that is the reason what normally we do, we create a route 53. Okay, and route 53 guys, we fix our domain name. Okay, so let's say we purchase one domain name, and guys, for this demo, by chance I have already done this thing for you. For this demo, okay, I'm going to route 53, and one domain I already purchased. And what is route 53 guys, we had already discussed in very detail. So one new domain I already purchased. Okay, so if you go here, so one new domain I purchased already. Oh my god, it is still in the pending. So there's some issue in verification. I think payment is not yet processed. Okay, so let's go for this domain. So this domain we already purchased, rlinuxworld.com. So what I'm going to do, I'm creating a new record in my Route 50 and say, if anybody come to loadbalancer.rlinuxworld.com, if anybody come to this domain, this is a simple domain to go, will automatically guys redirected to this load balancer, the load balancer that I'm going to create. So guys, this concept guys we already discussed. So we are directed to this one or whatever load balancer we had created. Okay, so let me quickly click the load balancer. Okay, to show this demo. So I'm going for guys by default ELB ACM with normal HTTP only. I will come back to this load balancer again one more time. Okay, but this concept guys we already discussed. So I'm doing a little bit faster. click. I think I had a page index.php, I believe. Okay, and this one, and I'm going to attach two of these instances as my backend. Tag, review, and create. So this load balancer has been created, and guys, when you create a load balancer, this name come up, and next time my name will be changed. So I'll go to my DNS and say I don't want to use this name. I want to fix my name. So anybody come to this name, behind the scene, this name to be converted in this bigger name, it will be anything. Or next time it will change, it will be anything. Okay, so as you guys know, this is called common name, because this is the AWS resources. So AWS know about their name. So this common name here is known as alias. So we can go to DNS and create alias. Let me show you very quickly again, because this part we had already done. So I'll go to my hoster zone of route 53. Okay, this is my domain name, is a public, anybody in the world can use. Okay, and I'm going to create one record here. A record is, if anybody come to this domain, lb.rlinuxworld.com. Okay, come to this record. I'll create a record for alias. Is AWS resources. Okay, and one minute, where is alias? A canonical name, and one minute, where the option of alias. Yeah, alias. Okay, and they know, because these are AWS resources, so they know they can pick from other services, and this services is I launch where in Mumbai. Come on to 1 minute, alias is it should work. So this is working. Is why they're not showing in Mumbai. 1 minute. So C name, where's the alias option? Okay, let me directly put this alias. We have already seen in my route 53. I don't know why this name is not coming. So let me manually copy this name and write here. Pretty simple, right? So anybody come to this name, behind the scene, this name come to this name, and they can connect. Okay, so this one simple record I would like to create here. Record created. So this is what we have done already. So anybody who come to this name, finally they landed to this name. Okay, and if I use CMD just to check NS lookup about this one, just to confirm, because this is a live DNS, a real DNS. Okay, but guys, in my setup here, I have some IPv6 setup, so there's the issue come up. But if you use some other services like online, you can see this name is converted to this name. Okay, now technically, if anybody come to this name, they connect to this name, and because this name is our load balancer. Okay, and if you see this load balancer connected to two instances. Okay, and they are in service. So technically my load balancer has been in service. So very quickly, I want to check this setup, very simple setup. If anybody come to here, they can see my website. So either they come to this load balancer host name, or they come to this name, a same thing. So which one? This one, the same thing. Let me check again. See guys, exactly working. So I can give this bigger name to my customer. I can give this smaller name. Look like very simple. This is my company domain name. And anybody in the world, even though guys this is public, you can also try. But if you notice here in the top, right now it says not secure. Connection is not secure. That's what guys are planned today. Okay. So this line say, okay, you are connected to this domain. And if you see the protocol is HTTP. And technically we know our setup. We know our setup. Our setup is something like this. something like this. Very quickly, let me write. So when client connect, they go to actually my load balancer. Again, that connection is via HTTP. And my load balancer will again behind the scene connect with some server. That's a different part. But in the client perspective, wherever they're connecting, maybe load balancer or server, it is HTTP. So I am a client. So my client, I am browser my saying is not secure. Okay. So now what we have to do, okay, we have to do only one thing. I'll tell my load balancer, the client is the one who gonna connect you, connect you. They don't want to use HTTP. So what you have to do, okay, change your HTTP protocol or port number 80, because you're listening in this port, change this and convert to HTTPS that normally work on 443 port. Then I will ask my client that don't use HTTP, use HTTPS, so they can connect to you, and that is secure. So my guys plan here is pretty simple. I will tell my client don't use this, use HTTPS. But right now, if I type HTTPS manually here, it will fail. You can see keep moving. But behind the scene, they are trying to connect to this side. They've refused because my 443 HTTPS is not running in my load balancer. So if you want, load balancer has this one. So for this, you have to provide a certificate to the load balancer. Okay, and if you want to create a certificate, you have to go to ACM service. Okay, but ACM service say I will create a certificate for you, but in the certificate, okay, certificate, one important thing we need is a common name, means your DNS name. So do you have a DNS name? Load say yes, I have the DNS name. Okay, I have the DNS name, this one. But challenge here is right now this DNS is this one, but next time my DNS name will change. Okay, so I can't rely on maybe after reboot, after some time my DNS changed, so I can't rely on this. That is the reason I changed this DNS to this DNS. Because this DNS name we have provided, because this our domain name we purchased already, and this is public also, and this DNS name never change. Okay, and that is the reason I tell my load balancer that I have provided a fixed public DNS that's called rlinuxworld.com. Okay, and because rlinuxworld.com is owned by us, our DNS is also owned by us. Nobody in the world can have this because it is a requirement in the CA. Whatever certificate you provide, it should contain public key. This is one point, but it also require your DNS name, and they always recommend use a DNS name that never change. If they change, the certificate won't work. Okay, and that's what guys ACM is asking to you. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to ACM again, again create a certificate. Okay, and here they're asking you, tell me the domain. And here guys, we have to provide a domain name that you think you own. So domain name that I own here is rlinuxworld.com. Okay, this is the domain name that we own. That's all. Okay, this is the one thing you can do. Okay, anybody who know about wildcard certificate also, they also support this. So it's a good thing. Normally guys in the market, if you go for wildcard certificate, they charge you extra and they'll charge you a lot. Again, this is free. They don't charge you for the wildcard certificate. Especially in the dynamic world, if you know guys about Kubernetes, we have a route, we have a as services. Every route we have a different domain. But for every domain, we can't create a multiple certificate. So we can write star.example.com. This is exactly Facebook also using, star.facebook.com. So CA normally charge a lot for wildcard, but here it is also free. Okay, click next. Now here they say anybody can type this domain name. How we know? I'm a CA, I'm a GoDaddy, I'm a Amazon here. How I know this domain owned by you? So here you have to validate. Either we send a mail, so any email ID registered with your domain name, we mail you to validate, or if this DNS is owned by you, okay, you can do a validation with DNS. And how? I click next. We click next. Okay, and when I confirm, okay, so here guys, they create, they give you a one document, this document. Okay. They say if this DNS is owned by you, go and create this record in your DNS. Okay. And guys, understand one thing. The only one who can create this record in the DNS is just a record, a normal record. Just if you go to DNS, you go to DNS, you just go and create a record like this. Okay. So name of the record is this one. Okay. And the value is this one. This is a random value they give you. Okay. They say if you're able to create this record, okay, so I can confirm you that this domain is by you. Okay. So you can click continue. After this, I will go through DNS, try to find this record is there. If there, it means this DNS is owned by you because you are owner and the owner is the one who can create the record. Okay. So that's what, guys, this has been done. So this process, guys, is already done by me. It takes normally some minute after you continue. So what I'm doing here, I'm just again going to my ACM. Just close this page because this process, guys, I already done here. So by chance they done one more time, but this one is done already. Okay, so this project I done already. It takes some minute. I don't know. Okay, actually I continued this. That was already there in the record, so they add one more time. Okay, so finally, what happened here? Behind the scene, ACM has created a CRT for me. Means we have public key and signed by Amazon. Is issued by Amazon. Amazon is here. Okay, so that's what I need here. So I need a certificate. But right now, certificate is managed by, provisioned by, signed by ACM service called Amazon. Now, this certificate we can use anywhere. And my plan is to use certificate in my load balancer. How? Let me go to load. So, creating a certificate and sign is so simple and it's also free. Now, I can go very quickly to my load balancer and say, load balancer, right now you're listening on port number 80. I want you change your listener. I don't want anybody can listen on port number 80. Click edit. And I want anybody come to you, they can come on this port. And guys, see here, as soon as I change the HTTP, this option automatically come up. And here I can click on change. And here they're asking you where your certificate copy paste here. Or if you're on ACM, just click here. In ACM, just provide which certificate you have. Let me use this one. Okay, that's all. That's the only thing you have to do here. Okay, and save. Okay, and save also. So now, now my load balancer, according to this diagram, so my client from the outside, they can connect to load balancer on HTTPS. And when they connect to HTTPS, my load balancer will provide work as a server. They provide a certificate, this one. In the certificate, we have public key plus CA sign. This CA is an Amazon CA. If my browser know Amazon CA, they check the signature of Amazon CA with the certificate. If signature match, they validate, they use the public key, and further combination between the load balancer and the client that is public is encrypted. Okay, but between the load balancer and the backend server, it's again HTTPS because that's what we have written here. But behind this, we can change also this one, but normally internal network is secure. We don't want to change. And if you use HTTPS again, because HTTPS again come with a lot of load in the terms of performance, because every time you have to encrypt, decrypt, so unwanted extra performance issue will come up. So normally for the performance perspective, we don't recommend. But if you think your data might not be secure, very critical banking data, again, we can do one more time HTTPS, but it will unwanted hit your performance. So technically, your internal server is not secure, but load balancer will make your server secure between the public client. And this concept is called SSL overloading. So, so we are doing this setup over here. So let me show you guys finally output. So now, last time, if you try to connect this side, it was working. Let me again refresh. It is not working, or let me open that terminal. Okay, last time it was not working. If you connect, now guys, you can see this message come up. Okay, and this message say your connection is not private. If you go to advanced, okay, this say one small mistake I did, not mistake actually. I also want to show you. They say that you are connecting to this domain, okay, but certificate is signed with this domain. Okay, so what technique they're talking about? The certificate that I signed is for this domain. Okay, but you are connecting to this host name or domain. So technically, your certificate is signed by CA, is signed with a public key, but it's not matching the domain. So I can't give you guarantee this certificate is fake or not. Even though if you click on the top, you can see now certificate come up and certificate is invalid, signed by provider Amazon, but issued to this domain, but I'm trying to connect with the other domain. But you can proceed here. Proceed means you say that's okay. I don't want you verify. I just want to get the public key of my server, and with this public key I will start encrypting. But they might be guarantee, not guarantee. Some hacker might try to provide this one. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, if you want to access a site with this domain, so while creating a certificate, let me create one more time, one more certificate. Okay, here you should be very much specific that you want to create a certificate for this domain. Either you can use wildcard, okay, the way I already told you, or you can specify that I am getting certificate for this with this domain. Click next. Again, I want to validate. There's a new domain come up. Review. Okay, confirm. And now they say if you want to validate, okay, just put this thing in your DNS. Let me put this thing in my DNS to validate. So my DNS is where? Yeah, here it is. So I'm going to go to my DNS. I'm going to create one record. And record would be this one. Okay, so you have to copy this one from here till here, or let me copy entire and paste it. Because this domain already added, so let me remove last one. This one. Okay, and this is the CNAME, okay, because they asked to put the CNAME and this value. This value. So this is because you're adding a new value, it means you have power to do something in DNS. It means you own this DNS. Okay, and because you own this DNS, now they can validate. And let's continue. Okay, so they will validate and this come right. So now if I go to the pending is validation, it takes some minute. Yeah, quickly, this is very good, speedily they have done, and they have validated or the issue certificate. A new certificate come up, so a small change I have to do in my load balancer. Okay, I've changed my tell my load balancer I have to change your certificate from ACM, and certificate that I'm going to use is this one. Okay, this one. That's all. Now I'm pretty sure if anybody now come to my website, okay, so let me again connect. It's there only, linuxworld.com. Okay, hit. Now guess here, there is no error command, so much clean. Okay, one click, everything work fine. And they say the site you're connecting is so secure. Here, lock symbol, there is no error. And we click here, this is valid certificate signed by Amazon for this domain for 1 year something, and the detail is this one. It's only for this one, and there's a public key. So valid. So I get this public key. My browser used to share my symmetric key, and we do all the communication very much secure. Okay. And why is secure? Why this are validated? Because two reasons. One reason is this domain name what you're connecting is matching to the issuer name. Second thing, this issue by Amazon. By chance, my browser know about Amazon. See it. So they know about the signature of Amazon. because Amazon work as CA. So there's two reasons, or maybe some small reason where is also valid. So there are multiple things why this has to be valid. So guys, long discussion actually. If you go to some advanced security classes of AWS, there they have this entire chapter on this topic, but I cover all everything, whatever they had there. Okay, so it is again a part of certificate. Now this is the example of public key, private key, symmetric. Behind this in the are using. Okay, so that's all guys for my side today. Lots of things we had discussed. If you practice one or two times, you can see. Guys, now this thing is so simple. I know long back everything we have to do it manually. We have to create RCA, we have to create a CA change, uh, CRT, sign it. Lots of commands in Linux server I have to done manually, very much painful. I remember, right. Even though Red Hat has their own program, that's called triple three, purely based on this topic. Okay, long back, right. So it was very harder, but we have to do it manually. But now, because of these kind of services, one click, everything is been clicked or done. Okay, so that's all, guys. From my side, any queries if you have, you can ask me. Ask me. Yes, Rahul. MLS project summer is a very different level, right? Nobody can beat the content or the project that we are going to develop in this summer 2021 about MLOps. Even though, guys, I highly recommend this workshop. Also, I told you yesterday also, because all the AI services we are going to discuss in this workshop. So, any questions over here? As such, no plan, Sagar, for cyber security workshop. I used to take long back, but normally it is normally misused. The content knowledge is misused in the market, right? So I stopped taking cyber security or hacking classes. So how you provide a public key in CSR? Actually, I use right now in cloud everything is automated. But if you create a CSR guys automatic create normally public key. Or if you have in the command line, they can pass in which file you have the public key. So whatever tool you use, for example, OpenSSL is a very much useful tool. So in the command line, they have option to ask you where is your public key while you creating a CSR. So, guys, very interesting concept. This is uh, to to have a complete setup in the terms of security. Okay. Yes, Piyush, you can somehow say secret manager is a password manager. Password manager, normally in our OS we have, or in app we have to manage the password. Or password no manager is normally is app also in some kind of software that will do all the things. But secret manager is not software; it's just putting the data there. My developer has to create some app or on the top of this. But yeah, somehow you can say secret manager is like a password manager. But not only password, any credentials you can put there, any sensitive data you can put there. So uh, I'm just trying to figure out this CA means under ACM is free. Yes, ACM is service is free. So if you create any certificate, right now today I create one or two certificate. So creating a certificate or sign by Amazon, it is free. So whatever you are using in ACM, it is free. That's what I'm talking about. How guys? Yes. So Subhas is a very great question actually you asked. So he asked you how to redact HTTP to HTTPS. So guys, there are a lot of way. One way is you can put in your application like in web server. Anybody can come on HTTP, they redact to HTTPS, or you can put your code also. Okay. Or normally in the load balancer we have a in the load balancer we have a rule of routing policies. By chance in this load balancer we don't have. Okay. But if you go to other load balancer, application load balancer, we have created a path policy something. So there we can set a rule. Anybody come on port number 80, redact to 443. Okay, so multiple way in the web server you can write, in your PHP code you can write, or in load balancer. In some of the load balancer we have options to say. So if anybody come to HTTP, react to HTTPS. This is a very commonly way you set up. We always use. So let me. How can decrypt the key using deep learning by making purpose? No, actually, Subhash is not about model or deep learning. Decryption need a key, right? Decryption need a key. So whatever method you use, maybe AI or machine learning, it won't work. Somebody say, but a website got hacked yet. Actually, so Venkatesh, uh, one part of security won't help you to manage other part of security. If you put everything in HTTPS, but if you bug in a PHP code, if you remove the bug in the PHP code, but if you bug in in your databases, okay, so tons of things is there, or everything is foolproof. So somebody has might have do some kind of uh, reverse engineering, or maybe social engineering or social tricks. Some SMS come in mobile phone, they call, they give you some offer, something. So there's hundreds of things, guys, to be considered in the security world. So something is break, it means some other security has a flow, or maybe your social attack somebody is doing. So it's not a small thing, hundreds of things we have to take care. So that's all, guys. There will be a lot of query, but I think if you practice this, it will be covered. So we'll see you guys in next class. Some more new concept we gonna discuss. Okay, I take care, guys. Good day, good night.